Hello, the story I have for you today is called Rosie, Revere, Engineer. It's by Andrea Beaty and illustrated by David Roberts. That rhymes, Revere and Engineer. This is the story of Rosie Revere, who dreamed of becoming a great engineer. In Lila Greer's classroom at Blue River Creek, young Rosie sat shyly, not daring to speak. An engineer is a person who builds things. And do you see Rosie right there? Says she's shy. But when no one saw her, she peeked in the trash for treasures to add to her engineer's stash. And late at night, Rosie rolled up her sleeves and built in her hideaway under the eaves. Look, she thinks she can make something with all the things that other people are throwing away. Alone in her attic, the moon high above, dear Rosie made gadgets and gizmos she loved. And when she grew sleepy, she hid her machines far under the bed where they'd never be seen. It says she loves to make them, but why do you think she hides them? When Rosie was young, she had not been so shy. She worked with her hair swooping over one eye and made fine inventions for uncles and aunts, a hot dog dispenser and helium pants. Oh, look, so she's younger there, and she's making all kinds of things. The uncle she loved most was zookeeper Fred. She made him a hat to keep snakes off his head, from parts of a fan and some cheddar cheese spray, which everyone knows keeps the pythons away. Cheddar cheese hat. And when it was finished, young Rosie was proud, but Fred slapped his knee and he chuckled out loud. He laughed till he wheezed and his eyes filled with tears, all to the horror of Rosie Revere, who stood there embarrassed, perplexed, and dismayed. She looked at the cheese hat and then looked away. "I love it," Fred hooted, "oh, truly I do." But Rosie Revere knew that could not be true. She stuck the cheese hat on the back of her shelf, and after that day, kept her dreams to herself. Why do you think he's laughing? Do you think he likes it? And how is Rosie feeling? When he laughed, how did that make her feel? And that's how it went until one autumn day, her oldest relation showed up for a stay. Her great-great-aunt Rose was a true dynamo who'd worked building airplanes a long time ago. She told Rosie tales of the things she had done and goals she had checked off her list one by one. She gave a sad smile as she looked to the sky. "The only thrill left on my list is to fly. But time never lingers as long as it seems. I'll chalk that one up to an old lady's dreams." Look, so there's her great aunt Rose, and when she was young, she made airplanes. And she wants to fly, but she thinks she might be too old. That night, as Rosie lay wide-eyed in bed, a daring idea crept into her head. Could she build a gizmo to help her aunt fly? She looked at the cheese hat and said, "No, not I." But questions are tricky, and some hold on tight, and this one kept Rosie awake through the night. So when dawn approached and red streaks lit the sky, young Rosie knew just how to make her aunt fly. She's saying, "Well, maybe I could try," and then she thinks, "Oh no, people might laugh at me, or maybe I won't be able to do it." But it keeps her awake. You think she's going to try? She worked and she worked till the day was half gone, and hauled her cheese copter out onto the lawn, to give her invention a test just to see the ridiculous flop it might turn out to be. She dropped into the cockpit, she flipped on the switch, the hella cheese copter sputtered and twitched. It floated a moment and whirled round and round, then froze for a heartbeat and crashed to the ground. Look, she built like a helicopter, and she's using the cheese as like the top parts. And it worked for a little bit, and then it crashed. Then Rosie heard laughter and turned round to see the old woman laughing and slapping her knee. She laughed till she wheezed, and her eyes filled with tears, all to the horror of Rosie Revere, who thought, "Oh no, never, not ever again will I try to build something to sputter or spin, or build with a lever, a switch, or a gear, and never will I be a great engineer." Why do you think her aunt is laughing? Rosie says she's never going to be an engineer. What do you think? She turned round to leave, but then Great-Great-Aunt Rose grabbed hold of young Rosie and pulled her in close, and hugged her and kissed her, and started to cry. "You did it! Hooray! It's the perfect first try! The great flop is over. It's time for the next." Young Rosie was baffled, embarrassed, perplexed. "I failed," said dear Rosie. "It's just made of trash. Didn't you see it? The cheese copter crashed." "Yes," said her great aunt, "it crashed, that is true. But first it did just what it needed to do. Before it crashed, Rosie, before that, it flew." "Your brilliant first flop was a raging success. Come on, let's get busy and on to the next." She handed a notebook to Rosie Revere, who smiled at her aunt as it all began clear. Life might have its failures, but this was not it. The only true failure could come if you quit. Look at all those airplanes and things. So her aunt's saying it's okay if your invention doesn't work right away, or even if it just works for a little bit, you still keep working and make it better. Because look, these are very old airplanes. Do airplanes still look like this now? Because they worked for a little bit, but then people kept inventing them and making new things. It says, let's see, this is flown by Harriet Quimby, the first woman to gain a pilot's license in the United States. This is by E. Lillian Todd, who was the first woman to design airplanes. This is a hot air balloon that Elizabeth Tibble became the first woman to fly in a hot air balloon. This is Bessie Coleman's plane, who was the first black woman to fly. Lynn Ripplemeyer was the first woman to pilot a Boeing 747. Look, this is kind of what our airplanes look like today. This is Amelia Earhart's airplanes over here. She was a very famous flyer. They worked till the sun sneaked away to its bed. Aunt Rose tied her headscarf around Rosie's head and sent her to sleep with a smile ear to ear, to dream the bold dreams of a great engineer. Look, see, they took it and they're making it even better. At Blue River Creek, all the kids in grade 2 build gizmos and gadgets and doohickeys too. With each perfect failure, they all stand and cheer, but none quite as proudly as Rosie Revere. She told her friends, it's okay if you don't get it right on the first try. You keep trying. They're all inventors. And look, she made a helicopter work. I love that story because it shows that even if you don't get it right on the first try, you can keep trying and keep working on it. I had fun reading to you. Bye.